You enter a trade and then I know it can be very frustrating because I was in your shoes, but in today's video I'm gonna show you a trading concept that changed everything for me. The concept I'm gonna talk about is range expansion. So what is range expansion? Range expansion is when you have a tight consolidation and you have basically a few days of a tightness and then it basically explodes to the upside or to the downside. So basically you have to look for a range that's larger than the past few bars. And the great example is here actually on the Beyond on daily chart here from July 22 if you want to go ahead and look on your own chart. So basically what you have here is move up, then you have a few days of consolidation, and you can see these 3 days before are very tight, right? Like that's very tight, and that's followed by what I call range expansion. And it's a concept I learned from a Stockbee. It's a great guy, check out his YouTube channel. But yeah, you can see this is a range expansion, and what you should notice here is that it is followed by a few bars of follow-up, you can say. So basically many of you will know this as a basic breakout, right? You have some move up, you have like a consolidation and pretty high quality pullback and basically a breakout. But you have to understand this is a trading concept that's occurring on daily, whether you're trading daily charts, 5-minute charts. So if you notice here, we can mark this up here, right? Range expansion. Okay, then you have some bars here and there. Here, 3 days that are kind of narrow, and then you have like a range expansion, but to the downside, because it also works to the downside. And this is not, I'm not talking about the setup. I'm talking about a concept that actually exists in the market, and that's how stocks move. They move in a burst, and you can go actually check yourself whether this is true or not. Go and study like 1,000 charts and see whether it's true. Get your own beliefs about the market, because this is going to help you to become a better trader and have actually more confidence in your trades. So here, range expansion as well, right? Then you have some, narrow range here, but again, range expansion to the downside here. Then you have 1-2 days kind of like a consolidation, or tight range. And then you have again a range expansion, right? Because you can see the range is much higher than the previous few bars. Also here, range expansion here, right? And I'm not saying every one of these will be a good setup for like taking a short here, but I'm saying that you have to start noticing these things in the market and on your charts so you can find setups around something that keeps occurring daily in the stock market. For example, here, this will be ideal breakout for me. If you are a day trader or even someone who takes like trades on weekly chart and you see something like this is exactly what you're looking for. You're looking for this type of a breakout where it's very clean. The move ended at the top. That means there are buyers that didn't sell off and actually are staying in the trade, and that it's very strong, right? You can see it's very tight. And then boom, it just explodes to the upside. And you can see it has a nice follow through 3 to 5 days. Like this momentum burst, like lasts 3 to 5 days. And this can help you to actually sell. But anyways, to get back to range expansion, let's just continue looking at the chart and actually marking the range expansion. You can see range expansion here. You can see it over here. You can see it over here, right? You have like 5 days, very tight, and then you have like range expansion. Then again, 4 days, very tight, again, range expansion here. Let's zoom out a little bit. But it's almost everywhere, and if you are just a beginner like I was, you will see like it will be very difficult for you to find these. But more you do it, the easier it gets. Now let's go to the Tesla stock, for example, to just show you that it truly works in every stock on every time frame. So let's start with the weekly, just so you can see that, yeah, this truly works. All right. So again, range expansion. What happens? It's followed by a few more bars of a follow through. again, it's not like a rule that it will like have a follow through, because you have many range expansions that will eventually fade. For example, here you have 3 days, then you have a big range expansion, and then it just fades. But meaning it will go down the opposite way. But again, this is not the setup. This is the concept that you have to learn. Again, you have this range expansion here, and then you have a few days like a consolidation. Then you could say this is range expansion, right? Because it's like 3 days, it's getting closer and tighter, and then you have a range expansion. Then again, you have here range expansion, might be also this if you're looking at the resistance or breaking the resistance. But again, we're looking at the very beginning of the swing trade or the trade. So you are as early as possible, because that's going to help you be profitable when you get in the very beginning of the trade, right? Because what happens if you enter somewhere at the top, then you might not make money, right? So for example, here, this is a great example. You have a move up, right? And then you have a tight consolidation. Then again, range expansion. So what happens if you enter here on this day, then you have 1 day, 2nd day, 3rd day, 4th day where the stock goes up actually, and you can by that time sell your whole position in increments and make money and be profitable. Because if you enter here, imagine you see this stock like this, right? And you're saying, oh, it broke a big level, and you were thinking, oh, this is going to be great stock to buy. You will enter here, and then the next day it will just shake you out. You will be stopped out probably, or you will leave your position, or even worse, you will lose money, right? So that's why you want to get into the beginning of when the stock is moving. You don't want to end up like entering in 3rd day or 2nd day, That's why these range expansions is so powerful. It attracts retail traders that's gonna push the stock much more upside depending on the context. Again, you can tell what happened here. On this day here, many people were probably watching this consolidating, and someone had it maybe in the watch list, and people were just expecting and anticipating that it will break out. And then you have the range expansion here. And you can enter somewhere here, of course. You can see that that's not the whole story, of course, because this is weekly. But let's say this is a daily chart. And if you enter on this day here, of course, the stock first went to the downside and then went up later probably in the day. Because like the most active times are like open and of course the close of the market. But again, if you enter during the day and it starts breaking out, the next day it breaks all-time high, right, of the stock. And so what happens? Like, it attracts retail traders. It starts popping up in all kinds of like watch lists on Robinhood, on Webull, on TradingView. It will attract momentum traders, retail traders, big investors, because they will see that the stock is doing very well. And that's where you want to be. You want to be on the first day of the range expansion before all these people. And by the time they are entering, you are selling here. So that's the power of being very early in the breakout. And that the way you end up in a breakout early is by understanding this concept of range expansion and why that happens and what happens next. And it's very likely that it will keep moving to the upside, right? But if you sell here, you are profitable, you close the trade, and you can just wait for another range expansion. Here, you have some kind of a level, right? Support resistance, of course, triangle, bull flag, or how you call it, consolidation. And then you have a range expansion here. So you can enter somewhere around this price. And what happens here, again, it breaks, it attracts retail traders, momentum traders, investment funds, everyone. And it just keeps going up. And by the day they are getting in the stock, you are already probably out with your full position. So that's how you can make money with this concept. It's gonna make you much better trader. I promise you, if you study this and actually understand this concept, it's gonna make you much better trader. So I hope you now understand the range expansion concept. And now you're asking, oh, you're on a weekly, so let's go to the daily. What happened on the daily? Are there any range expansion examples on the daily? And yes, there are, of course. So here you have range expansion over here, right? range expansion. The move again started with the range expansion, and it had a very nice follow through. Like, that's crazy move, right? And you can obviously on the day you will see it like this, and you can literally tell like, oh, this is breaking out, this is a range expansion, I should be in this trade, right? And correct. Of course, it didn't make a significant move in the 2 days, but if you held like a few more bars, you know, of course you will not never sell like the top, like that's pure luck. But you could sell like half your position somewhere here, and you know that's gonna make your account grow. And again, you have many examples of range expansion here, right? Also to the downside, because ask yourself, is this larger range of the bar than the previous few ones? And yeah, look at the range and then this range, right? So yeah, just go through the chart and just notice these beautiful range expansions. You have many days of the tightness here, and then you have a range expansion. So you can actually utilize this concept and build your trading around it. Have setups around this concept, like breakouts, like they're easiest ones, especially if the market is doing well. But that depends if you are a swing trader or day trader, because if you're a day trader, of course you don't care what's happening to the market, because there are always setups. So I'm more talking about the swing traders that wants to market the move in their direction, because it has an effect on their performance. Again, range expansion to the downside here, right? I'm not gonna, of course I could go very slowly one by one and just, you know, just keep noticing these range expansions, but again, that's your job to do now. You know, I will check this as a range expansion maybe, you know, and of course it didn't work out because that's not the main goal of this. The goal is to understand that this concept occurs, you know, so you have some kind of a tightness and then you have a range expansion, and it can be anywhere. This is range expansion, you know, this over here, because the range is much higher than the previous few bars, you know. You of course there were maybe some earnings, yeah, there were earnings, and that's why there is a gap up, but again, range expansion, right? Look at the tightness here and then the range expansion here. I'm not saying you should trade it, I'm saying look at it and see it, right? So we are on daily, let's go on a 1 hourly chart, right? And yeah, range expansion here, again, tight few days, range expansion to the downside, you know. Then you have some, like, of course some days are not so obvious, right? But you can see some bars are much more significant. Here, you can see it here. It's kind of doing nothing. It's just going sideways, right? This bar, range expansion. This range expansion. Of course, you know, I'm not sure how would you trade this. You will probably just day trade this, but you know, it's range expansion to the downside. This is a beautiful example of range expansion to the downside. You know, you have very tight few days and then you have a range expansion to the downside. And then you just keep having these examples over and over and over again. There are thousands of them and there are thousands of like stocks, so you can go ahead and just study. Now, the 5-minute chart, if you are like a day trader like me, so you have a few bars of tightness, range expansion here, you know, then it's going sideways, and then you have this range expansion here, right? Then it's going just sideways. I'm not seeing any range expansion here, but these maybe, right? To the upside. There are probably better examples here. Range expansion, right? I'm not just picking it just because it's at the bottom at the start of the move, but because it's very obvious, right? Like you have tight bars and you have like a range expansion. Of course, you have bigger range on the open of the market because obviously that's the most active trading happening there. But you have range expansion here. Even if it's small, it's range expansion because it's preceded by a very tight few bars and then you have range expansion. This is also range expansion. This bar over here. Also many examples over here. You have range expansion 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 over here. So let's summarize, how is this going to help you to become a better trader? The idea is that if a stock moves from a tight consolidation and it explodes, so it makes a range expansion from tight consolidation, right? There is high chance it will keep moving to the upside. It will have a follow through. It's a very high chance. Why? Well, because it will start attract momentum traders, day traders, funds. You know, it will start popping up on all kind of scanners on Momentum, on half a day scanners on Robinhood, everywhere. You wanna be very early to make money, and so this could be the result of entering here on the range expansion and just riding that stock to the upside, and that can make the big difference between you making money or entering late and losing money. So this was a great example over here. Your job and your homework is to go and actually study, and write me in the comments what did you find by your study. I'm gonna learn from you as well, and we are here to learn and study the markets and hopefully become profitable. So thank you so much for the watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, and all that kind of stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.